Ladies and gentlemen, there's something within every one of us that longs for direction, meaning, and connection with something greater. At times, we find ourselves in moments where we ask, is God speaking to me? The answer, more often than we realize, is yes. But the way God speaks isn't always what we expect. He doesn't need to send us thunderous voices or miraculous signs. Instead, He often speaks softly, woven into the ordinary moments of our lives. The key is learning how to recognize these signs and to tune our hearts to hear Him. In what follows, I will explain 5 ways God speaks to us, 5 signs that may be signaling His presence and voice in your life. If we pay attention to these signs, we may find that God is speaking far more frequently and intimately than we ever imagined. One of the most telling signs that God is speaking to us is a sense of restlessness deep within our hearts. This is not just a fleeting sense of boredom or impatience, but a profound inner stirring that doesn't go away. This restlessness often comes when, on the surface, everything in life appears to be going well. Your career may be successful, your relationships fulfilling, and your life in order, yet you feel like something important is missing. This feeling of dissatisfaction, this longing for something more, is often God trying to get our attention. It is His way of nudging us, saying, there is more for you than this. God stirs our souls when we become too comfortable with the status quo, when we settle for less than the fullness of life He desires for us. This kind of restlessness is a sign that you are being called to growth, change, or a deeper relationship with Him. Imagine living in a house that, from the outside, looks perfect. The walls are freshly painted, the rooms are well decorated, and everything is in place. Yet inside the house, you begin to notice a draft, a cool breeze that shouldn't be there, a feeling that something isn't quite right. That draft is the restlessness, a subtle sign that something needs attention. Is God telling you to examine what's going on beneath the surface, to look beyond the external and dive deeper into the state of your soul? Sometimes this restlessness comes as a nudge to step out of your comfort zone. You might feel a pull to start something new, to leave a job or relationship, or to make a significant change in your life. Other times, the restlessness is about reordering your priorities, realizing that the things you thought would bring happiness, money, status, recognition aren't truly satisfying the deeper hunger in your heart. This feeling of unease is an invitation. God is telling you that it's time to seek Him more fully, to follow a new direction, or to let go of things that are no longer serving your growth. When you feel this inner stirring, don't ignore it or try to distract yourself from it. Ask God, what are you trying to show me? What do you want me to do? That restlessness is often the first step in a journey of transformation. Another common way God speaks to us is through what appear to be random encounters or unexpected events that seem to carry a deeper meaning. These are the moments in life when something happens that feels too perfect or significant to be a coincidence. Maybe you've been struggling with a decision, praying for direction, and then, out of the blue, you have a conversation with a friend who, without even knowing it, gives you exactly the advice you need to hear. Or you might pick up a book, turn on the radio, or hear a sermon, and the message speaks directly to your heart. These encounters are not just lucky breaks or chance happenings, they are often divinely orchestrated. God is speaking to you through the people, situations, and events around you. He knows what you need, and He places people in your path at just the right time to bring clarity, comfort, or conviction. But to recognize these encounters as divine, you have to be aware and open to the possibility that God is working in the everyday moments of your life. Think about it this way: life is a tapestry, with each thread representing a moment, a person, or a situation. When you're close to the tapestry, you can only see individual threads. But if you step back and look at the whole picture, you begin to see how those threads come together to form something beautiful. The same is true of these encounters. When you look back, you'll often realize that God has been weaving together moments and conversations in ways you didn't see at the time. For example, you might be at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take, When you bump into an old acquaintance who happens to mention something that resonates deeply with you. Or you might be in the middle of a difficult season, and just when you're feeling most lost, you receive a phone call from someone who offers unexpected encouragement. These encounters are moments of grace, where God is communicating His presence and guidance. The challenge is learning to recognize these moments as God's handiwork. Instead of dismissing them as random, take the time to reflect on them. Ask yourself, is there a deeper message here? Could God be using this person or situation to speak to me? When we approach life with this kind of awareness, we start to see that God is constantly communicating, often through the ordinary people and events around us. One of the most consistent ways God speaks to us is through our conscience, that inner voice that nudges us toward what is right and warns us when we are going astray. Your conscience, like an internal compass, pointing you toward the direction of God's will. When you feel a sense of unease after making a decision, when something just doesn't sit right in your soul, that's often God speaking through your conscience. For instance, have you ever made a choice or said something to someone and immediately felt that sinking feeling in your heart? That's your conscience at work, trying to redirect you toward what is good and true. At the same time, when you experience a deep sense of peace after doing something difficult but right, that's also your conscience affirming that you are on the right path. God uses this internal compass to help us discern right from wrong, not in a punitive way, but as a loving guide, gently steering us back toward the path He has set for us. The conscience is not just about guilt or feeling bad when we mess up, it's also about calling us to live with integrity, honesty, and love. When we feel convicted by our conscience, we are given an opportunity to course correct before we drift too far. Ignoring the voice of your conscience can lead to spiritual numbness. Over time, the more we ignore that inner voice, the quieter it becomes, and we become less sensitive to God's promptings. But when we listen and respond to our conscience, we become more attuned to hearing God's voice in all areas of life. God speaks through our conscience to help us live according to His principles, guiding us to be more loving, compassionate, and just. One of the most beautiful and powerful signs that God is speaking to us is the gift of peace, especially when it comes in the midst of chaos. Life is often filled with stress, uncertainty, and challenges. Yet there are moments when, even in the thick of it, you experience an unexplainable peace, one that goes beyond the normal boundaries of logic or circumstance. This is not the kind of peace you get from avoiding your problems or from having everything in perfect order. It's the peace that comes from knowing that, even when everything around you is out of control, God is still in control. This peace acts as a signal that God is with you, that He has not abandoned you even in the storm. It's as though He is whispering, "Be still and know that I am God." This peace doesn't make the problems go away, but it gives you the strength and clarity to face them. It's a reminder that you are not walking through life's challenges alone. Imagine standing in the middle of a chaotic city street with cars honking, people rushing past, and noise all around. Yet somehow you feel calm, centered, and at peace. That's the kind of peace God gives, a peace that transcends the noise and confusion of life. When you experience this, it is a sign that God is speaking, reassuring you of His presence and guiding you through the storm. If you've ever found yourself in a stressful or overwhelming situation and despite everything felt a profound sense of calm, that is God's peace at work. He's reminding you that He holds your future, that His plans for you are good, and that no matter what happens, He is with you. Pay attention to those moments of peace. They are often God's way of speaking directly to your heart. The final sign that God is speaking to you is perhaps the most subtle, yet the most profound: a growing desire for God. Sometimes it comes as a quiet whisper in your soul, a soft pull that draws you toward prayer, worship, or time spent in reflection. This desire is not just a random feeling or passing thought, it is God Himself calling you closer to Him. Over time, this desire can become stronger, leading you to seek out moments of silence, to open the Bible, or to simply sit in God's presence. You may feel a deep longing to know Him more, to experience His love more fully, and to understand His will for your life. This desire is not something you manufacture on your own, it is a gift from God. A sign that He is actively pursuing you and inviting you into deeper intimacy with Him. It's like being in a crowded room filled with noise and distractions and suddenly noticing a soft melody playing in the background. At first, it's barely noticeable, but as you focus on it, the melody becomes clearer and more beautiful. That's what the desire for God is like. It may start as a faint longing, but as you respond to it, it grows stronger and more compelling, drawing you closer to His heart. When you feel this pull, don't ignore it. It's God speaking to you, inviting you into a relationship that goes beyond surface level religion. He is calling you to experience His love, His grace, and His presence in a deeper way. This growing desire for God is a sure sign that He is at work in your life, drawing you into a closer, more personal relationship with Him. In conclusion, God is always speaking to us, though often in ways that are subtle and easy to overlook. Whether it's through restlessness, unexpected encounters, the voice of our conscience, a deep sense of peace, or a growing desire for Him, God is constantly reaching out to guide, comfort, and direct us. The challenge is not whether God is speaking, but whether we are listening. So how can we learn to recognize these signs? The key is attentiveness, being aware of the ways God is working in your life, paying attention to the stirrings in your soul, and being open to His voice in the everyday moments. When we cultivate this attentiveness, we begin to see that God is far closer than we ever imagined, and that He is speaking to us more often than we ever realized. The next time you feel restless, have an unexpected encounter, hear the voice of your conscience, experience peace in the midst of chaos, or feel a deep longing for God, take a moment to listen. God is speaking. The question is, are you listening?